From 1 to 100. This is a podcast where we talk about building your YouTube community from 1, that's you, to 100, so that you can make a living doing what you love. On this show, we talk about how to build a business as a YouTube creator in the passion economy. I'm your host, Heather Ramirez, and this is episode 9 of From 1 to 100. Yay! Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I had to check the calendar. Happy Tuesday. Thank you for being here. Today, I'm excited to explore this concept of communities. As you can see, it's just going to be a solo episode, but there has just been a lot of things that have been happening in the past couple of weeks, especially in the past week, that I felt like, hey, anecdotally, this would be a great update to the thesis of the passion economy business model that I want to kind of just dive into here on this podcast. And of course, since we are live, I'd love to hear your input as well. So hello, everybody. And the other thing I wanted to just start off by saying is this is episode 9. So if you follow this podcast, this live stream podcast on this channel, you'll notice that we have skipped an episode, and that's because I published a audio only bonus episode 8 this morning, which I totally encourage you guys to check out. I'm very excited about the audio only episode 8. It's called Throwing the Plan Out the Window. And the reason why I'm excited about it is because it is going to be the first in a new series that if you are honestly interested in implementing the passion economy business model into whatever it is that you are doing on YouTube or, content creation and all of that, I'm going to be documenting my own personal journey in this series. And I'm sure, if you follow me or my husband, Tom, it all blends in. We talk about it kind of just everywhere, but I did want to present my experience as a case study on this podcast. I think that's important. So if you want the tips, the tools, the advice, the perspectives from the awesome guests that I invite onto this show, and I see Dancy Bearded is here. He was the guest last week. Amazing episode. So many great takeaways. If you want that, hang out here on YouTube. I promise you those will always be live because I always want to offer the chance for you guys to ask your questions live. But for the audio only, for the, my personal experience, and I'm going to share the highs, the lows, the whole thing. And that's probably going to be audio only because there's a lot of times where I'm just not wanting to get camera ready and be live, right? So for example, this first episode that we published, I'm saying we because of course Tom was on it. We recorded it like way past our bedtime on the night of my birthday. So shout out to the YouTube Huddle Up community. You guys are awesome. I'm still over the moon and glowing from the surprise that you guys threw me on Friday. But if you weren't there, you could check out the replay. It was the replay on July 2nd, which was my 36th birthday. And the community came together to basically surprise me with an awesome montage of birthday messages, which was just absolutely amazing. But that definitely got my wheels turning in terms of like community and the power of these digital media tools and experiences that we can all share together in and all of these things. So that night I was like, okay, I feel like an addendum to the thesis. And I was like, Tom, we need to record this. I need to save this in perpetuity. We're going to start a new series. Here you go. So definitely check that out. And if you do check it out, I'd really like to hear your thoughts on it because it's a work in progress, right? I'm documenting this whole thing in real time, so you will be able to just know what I'm going through and to give you a little sneak peek, because I do think that this is important if you are part of this community here. I have my plan for the next 6 months, right? Quarter 3, quarter 4, second half of 2021, my plan for the next 6 months is to have no plan. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, I'm scared, right? Like, that's a very scary thing for me, as impulsive as I am. I've always been one to follow a book, to enroll in a course, to have a mentor, to have a guide. And I explain it, we explain it in the episode, the audio only episode, but basically my instinct is telling me to give myself a chance to 100% be in the driver's seat and just to lean into that, like foot on the gas, the whole thing. So go check out that episode. Now, for today, we're going to be talking about communities. Again, kind of just updating the whole thing, especially after Friday. I really, when I first discovered the passion economy, it made sense to me that, okay, the show is called From 1 to 100 because you need, instead of 1,000 people giving you $100, right? You get 100 people to give you $1,000 over 12 months, right? So it's like 100, give or take $100 a month, which is, I think a lot of us do that, right? Like we have gym memberships, we have, we have budgets for funsies, for entertainment, for professional development, for self-care, all of those things. So that's not abnormal. I think that we have kind of accepted that that's like how things are, especially after 2020. We've turned online. Like a lot of that money is now being spent online for that budget, right? But community, this thing about community, I always knew it, right? Obviously, like you build your community. Community is in the opening statement of the show, community, right? But after Friday, man, I'm telling you, I've redefined my definition of community. And that's why I thought it was worth a whole episode. Like we're gonna dive into this. So before we do though, let's check in with the comments. Hello, everybody. Hello. I just want to make sure I have sound. That's very important. Okay, everyone's checking in. Hi, we have someone new. Aisha Coach. Hello. Let's see. Healthy Bearded is here. What's up? Carol is here on her phone. Filmtopia checking in. Excited for the episode today because that was a crazy one last time. Mihal is here. Mr. Camera Junkie, I promoted you to moderator, man, because you're a professional moderator. Rob is here. What's up? We missed you last night. Cool. Kathy's here. Hey, folks. Alicio, we live. What's up? What's up? Okay. Kissa is here. What's up? Joshua, Miguel. Awesome. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm excited that you're excited about this topic. So let's dive into it. And of course, I'd love to know your thoughts. So I'm going to break this episode down into 3 chapters. First chapter is the cultural shift, which you've heard me talk about, but it's worth setting this episode up with it. So in the grand scheme of things, businesses were built to cater to human needs, right? Like straight up. I know that's like, why are we talking about this? Why is this relevant? But seriously, like if we talk about commerce, if we talk about humans and just how we're made and what we do, most of our time on this planet has been, like any commerce has been to serve our needs, food, shelter, relationships, because we have psychological needs, obviously, all those things, right? It was a luxury for your career to be in line with your passion. That has historically been a luxury. It's been something that only the rich or people who are well connected were able to do, right? Everyone else had to go to school, and schools were created to optimize for sameness, right? That's why we have standardized tests. We are all trained with the same, regardless of like how our brains work or whatever, we have the same curriculum, right? Everyone's like judged on the same parameters. We learn the same things and all of that. Now, I think that creativity and all of that is now being fostered in schools. I think it has a long way to go. And I know this because my husband is a former teacher, but I think, it's getting there, but still most of the system is to optimize to create sameness, right? We don't discover our individuality and stuff. I think most people don't until they get out of school. But now right now. And especially, I really think, just the more I think about it, I really think that 2020 was like the meteor, right? I think that that was our generation's meteor that was like, boom, start over. Like everything you knew doesn't exist anymore. We have a whole freaking year and a half to redefine how we do business, what matters to us, what our values are, and all of those things. And that's where now more than ever, aligning your passion with your career, right? Like making your passion your career, I honestly feel like is accessible to anybody. It's not a demographic requirement. It's not even a educational requirement. You don't I mean, Dan's a perfect example. He has a YouTube channel about beards. As far as I know, there's no like, certification to be the beard expert. You just make a channel because that's what you're into, right? So there's no prerequisite here, and it's accessible to anyone. And I think especially more than ever because these tools allow anybody to do that, right? Now, here's where community comes in. So I always saw it as like, when I'm thinking about the passion economy business model, I think that, okay, if you want to learn how to do YouTube, let's say, then I can, as a YouTube coach, offer an online course and a community that you can pay $100 a month to be a part of. And you just kind of like go through the thing, right? I think we all understand that. But the thing that didn't really hit home until Friday was this idea that it's not content first. It's not course first. It's not expertise first or experience first. It's community first, which is like, I can't believe it's just hitting me now. But like, community in itself can be the transformational value that people are willing to pay a premium for. And here's why this matters, okay? Here's why it's worth a discussion on this. Because if it's membership to a community that is valuable, right, that can really transform lives, then what is a community, right? Let's talk about what it isn't. A community, like even YouTube calls a subscriber base, they refer to the subscriber base that a YouTube creator has as a community, right? That's the word that they use. So we have the community tab in YouTube Studio and on our YouTube channels. Anytime they talk about monetization, they talk about monetize your community, blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's not an audience. I feel like an audience is an audience, right? Like we watch something, we're viewers. It's very much like you are creating something that we are watching, and it's very, I think it's transactional. There isn't like a relationship there, right? Then there's what else is there? A following, right? I think that's pretty obvious. Social media following, like very, very much like it's not two-sided, right? It's like this kind of the same thing as an audience. And then there's like a group of people, right? Like forget online. Let's talk about, okay, you got a group of people who have something in common or they have the same goal or something. Obviously humans, like we are tribal people, right? Like we like doing stuff in groups, and I think that we are more effective when we work together, like strength in numbers kind of thing, right? But here's the thing with, I wish there were a different word for it, but the community that I'm seeing in my own, like, I don't know, I guess my own community is people are not a part of my community because I'm the best YouTuber here. I think that's obvious, right? Like a lot of you guys have way more subscribers than I do. So that's number one. Number two is every single person who is a part of the community has something of value to offer, even if they are starting at the beginning. Like it doesn't matter where people are coming from. That's not where their contribution comes from. It's not like, oh, like, oh, I also have this experience, or I have this many subscribers, or, here's my credibility, or, my accolades or whatever, and this is what I'm bringing to the table. No, it's like the fact that you subscribe to the values of the community and you are willing to contribute, that is the value. Because here's the thing that I didn't realize is if you bring people together, right, around a common cause or something like that, right? Like you create the platform where people are united over a common thing. Who knows? And you just let those people do whatever it is, right? Like bring those people together. You don't know what is going to be created when you bring people of all different kinds of backgrounds, experiences, everything. You bring unique individuals together. You have no idea what's going to come out of that group. And I think that magic, that I don't even know how to describe that thing is something that people would be willing to pay for. I think that's transformational. I think that's valuable. And I think that the reason why my approach has almost been backwards with this is because, I grew up in the world of small business and service-based and online courses and stuff like that. And, especially in the world of online courses, it's like, yeah, you make a course, you make it once, and you just get as many people as you can to go through it. And that's how you're able to scale. And we see so many people who have done that, which is awesome. But for some people, right, like that's a great way to do it. If you want to do that, definitely go do that. I'm proposing and shedding light on if you have a similar personality type and preference as me, who's someone that like, I love being hands-on. I love talking to people. I love, I like being involved. And that's the part I don't want to get rid of. Whereas I feel like when we talk about scaling an online business, a lot of it is like, get it to automate itself. And then like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to kind of check in every now and then. That's awesome. That would be cool. But like the thing that like I wake up energized to do is to hang out with my people, right? And I want to be able to do more of that with more people. Like that's the meaning to me, right? So why does this matter? Like, okay, let me break it down into two different kinds of communities that I see playing out based on my own personal experience. Because I know you guys that are tuning in have very different YouTube channels. So I think the more obvious community, right, like mine, is a team mentality, right? So I'm the leader and I'm saying, hey, like anyone who wants to be a part of this community is working on a YouTube channel. We have something that we want to share. We want to bring people together to, accomplish something. I love Mighty Network's definition of community, which is a group of people who are mastering something interesting or important together. I love that definition. And I think that's the definition of the community that I've created, which is like, we're all doing YouTube. That's the thing that we have in common. And we all have somewhere that we want to go. And we're just going to go there together and support each other there together. That is like a team mentality. Like we are a team and it's like us versus YouTube and, like not knowing enough, like that, if we think like, who are we up against? It's like we are trying to learn as much as we can by sharing our experiences that are happening in real time so that we could be a better team, right? So that's the team mentality. But for some of you guys, I'm thinking, Filmtopia, James and Mark, you guys are not necessarily like trying to, it's not like a people have somewhere to go kind of thing, the way that like, okay, we all want to improve and grow our YouTube channels. So the other type of community that I think is really valuable is one that focuses on shared experience, right? So it's not that you're bringing people to master something interesting or important together. It's that you are providing the platform where people can experience something together. And that's magical, right? We see it in sports. Okay, so I've never been a sports person, right? But I did take ice hockey classes for a little bit, and I had no interest in like ice hockey. I don't know. For some reason, I was like, hey, I kind of want to try ice hockey for some reason. And I started taking classes. I didn't even watch hockey growing up. I honestly don't even know how to play the game. Anyway, I just was like, oh, I want to try like ice skating, but I don't want to do figure skating, so I'm going to do hockey. So I started taking classes. I took classes at the same rink that the LA Kings like practice at. And so just by association, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a Kings fan. Whatever. And I think that year, or like, in the near future of me signing up, the Kings won the Stanley Cup. And I like was so excited to be part of that fandom. And I knew like, okay, there were people who are part of this fandom that like have been a fan for years. But the fact that I felt connected to that, like I was just excited. I didn't even know what's going on. Like I don't know how to play hockey, but it was still like cool to be a part of that. And I think that that's what the shared experience also creates, where it's like you can share your enthusiasm and you don't have to be alone, especially with things that might seem, sports is one thing because it's literally on like national cable TV. Like everyone has access to sports. Not everyone has access to like, I don't know, corgis, right? Or something like super obscure, and like if you say it to someone, probably not everyone would know what you were talking about, like YouTube. I know we know what YouTube is, but when I talk to other people about YouTube, they're still like, oh, do I have to pay to subscribe to channel? So that shared experience is something that I think that we are going to see more, that people are going to want to spend and invest resources to be a part of, which is like a really cool thing. So, the thing that I am curious to see as I move forward in the next 6 months is monetization. Because I think that there are some people, like if I think about my own community, right? I don't think it's quite at 100 yet. And there are people in the community who are going to contribute more than $1,000. And there are people in the community who are going to contribute $0, which is totally fine. That's not, again, their value is not based on how much money they're contributing. But the whole premise of this podcast is, the passion economy business model. I really think that there are new and different, unique monetization opportunities that I am not aware of yet, and that I think will come to light as the community evolves. And, Dan C. Bearded talked about his own experience with the monetization. I think that's the weird thing about YouTube, is because you can think that you're going to get money from here, here, and here, but then as your community grows, as your channel grows, like you don't know what opportunities are going to be presented to you, right? So you might think like, okay, here's, what I have in my control and how I'm going to monetize, but you don't know, like if that person's like, hey, I've got a project, we have a budget, can we work together, blah, blah, blah. That's like, you didn't even foresee that being an option, right? And I really think that that's what I am going to see more of with these two types of communities. So I'm going to pause and check in with you guys and see what you guys have to say here. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Hello. Hi, Sil. Let's see. Age and maturity play a large part in finding your individuality. I would say much more so than the structure of school. Optimization for sameness becomes celebrating differences. Hi, Roxanne. Let's see. Community affinity. Yep, community. Yes, in your community, everyone had something valuable to offer, but what's different is that you give recognition to this. There you go. So I think what's cool about this community, like I said, is that it's a case study in real time, right? Like I don't have to give you advice. Just look at look what's happening here. Just look at it. You can even go back to the YouTube Huddle Up back in January, my very first YouTube Huddle Up. It wasn't even called the YouTube Huddle Up back then, and you can see, you know, how things evolved. I'm thinking of starting a beard channel. Oh goodness. This community is for sure dope. I feel everyone is on a journey of accomplishing their goals. Feels good to be a part of this team and everyone rooting for each other. Exactly. Filmtopia is a shared experience. Is there a way to get access to corgis like we have access to sport? Okay, so now let me bring this in terms of the role of you as a YouTube creator. Because I think that when people are working on building a YouTube channel, we understand, I think that everyone can understand the idea of building a YouTube channel and the idea of building a YouTube community. Like we picture something when we hear that that's what we have to do, right? But I want to pitch something else to you if you are also trying to grow a YouTube community, okay? You do not necessarily have to be the expert. And I think that we know that, but like, I mean, even me, I just constantly struggle with this. As a YouTube coach, I am very aware of how many subscribers that I have. It's just, I don't know, right? But you do not have to be the expert, and this community proves that, right? Why are you guys watching? There you go, right? Case in point. Now, as the community leader of a YouTube channel, here are things that you can think of on how to grow a community, right? A community needs structure. If you put 10 people in a room, there is usually someone who's just going to kind of give direction, right? Like people, otherwise they'll just sit there, right? Someone has to kind of rise to the occasion and just be like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and this is what we're going to make next. And, here's the agenda or whatever. That's what your role is, right? So regardless if you're talking about Marvel, if you're talking about food, if you're talking about corgis or whatever, you don't have to be the expert. You're not the expert. If you are, great, but you don't have to be. You just have to be the person who's going to be like, okay, guys, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to focus on. Here's the next thing that we're going to do. That is a completely different skill set than someone who's like the biggest and the best, right? Because it's just about it's really just about being enthusiastic, because your enthusiasm is going to be infectious, right? That's definitely infectious. Enthusiasm is something that has been used to describe me a lot. So you need that, I think. But then also structure, right? You need to be able to be like, okay, here's what we're going to do, and here's how you can contribute. That's the key. So a community, the way that I think YouTube thinks of it, is still very one-sided. But in the passion economy, it's not only two-sided, but it's like multi-dimensional sided, right? Because not only is it creator to viewer and viewer to creator, but it's viewer to viewer, right? Like stuff happens within the community. So it is important, I think the specialness of the community that's built in this way is that people are able to contribute. I think everyone here can vouch for the fact that what makes the YouTube Huddle Up special is that everyone is a part of it. I just so happen to be the one who's taking screenshots and putting it in a spreadsheet. That's all I'm doing. And I'm excited about it. I'm insanely excited about it. It's like one of the things I look forward to most every single week. So I have that enthusiasm. I think it's very clear. But I do not have any special, I'm not the best YouTube coach. I'm not the best YouTuber. I don't have any I'm not an expert. But I do have a spreadsheet. I do have a system that was organically built over time, but it was based on the needs of the community, right? So as I saw the community grow, it was just very, very clear to me, like, oh, I am noticing a disconnect here, or here's something that we could do. Here's something that could be done to make this more seamless. And it was just very, very organic. But the contribution by the community members is key. Now, here's why this type of community is different from other YouTube communities, or this is why this community is very passion economy business model, is because it focuses on depth over volume. And I think that's still a thing that, like, even myself, I'm still like struggling with this, you know? I mean, every time I see subscriber milestones, like I don't think, you know, I still like compare, you know. I think that I would be lying if I was like, it's fine, you know. I still see that, and I'm aware of it. I don't do anything about it, but it's still like it kind of makes me feel like, oh man, I don't know, like there's obviously some insecurity there, right? And I think that's going to be hard when you are trying to build a YouTube channel and a YouTube community, and you know that it's not about the volume, it's about the depth. So I think what's key is for you to set your own parameters of success when you are measuring depth over volume. Because if you use the parameters to measure volume, like number of subscribers and number of views, that does nothing in terms of what is the connection that is happening in your community. How many people are contributing? How are they contributing? What are the effects of that contribution? How has, you know, being a part of your community transformed lives? Number of subscribers is nothing to talk about that, right? So I think it's important to not only for you as a YouTube creator, but I think it's also cool as the community leader to be like, here's what is important to this group and to us. And I think I've done that through the YouTube Huddle Up. I think visually you can see, you know, the stickers was a very organic thing, but I think it's really cool that you're able to look at progress. Like there's a way, and it's not my progress. The whole board is you guys, right? That's everyone in the YouTube Huddle Up community working on their thing. But you can, it's like a visualization of what's happening on all these YouTube channels everywhere. So like, how can you create that for your people, right? Does that make sense? So, the reason why I want to hammer this home is because not only is it something that I still struggle with, but like literally I just had talks, you know, the past week with clients about feeling like they are not leadership material. So again, I want to just emphasize, it's not about being the best or the, you know, the all-knowing, or, you know, you're the expert or whatever. It's about being the person who's excited about whatever it is that your channel is about, and then putting in the structure to allow people to connect and hang out and be a team and revel in the enthusiasm for whatever it is that you're talking about, right? And the way that you can see it is that you're just nominating yourself, right? So in this room of 10 people, well, let's call it 100, right? In the room of 100 people who are gathered because of this thing that you guys have in common, you are going to nominate yourself to step up and organize. That's it. No one says you have to be the best, but you're just gonna, because you're so excited about this thing and you want everyone to be just as excited as you are, you're just gonna rise up to the occasion. And you're the one who's going to create the platform. You're the one who's going to put the structure. You're the one who's going to kind of direct people on how to continue the enthusiasm together. That's it, right? So, that being said, Tom and I are actually working on our own community. And we are using this tool called Mighty Networks to do that. And we are going to be documenting our journey in building out this community. So a part of that is the case study that's going to be like the series on this podcast. But then also when it comes to Mighty Networks, we're actually going to start a new series that's like, how do we actually use Mighty Networks? Because there actually isn't a lot of info out there, and a lot of people still don't know what Mighty Networks is. So I was like, okay, you know what? I really like this tool. Oh, by the way, the CEO of Mighty Networks is actually going to be a guest on this show on July 27th, Gina. She is a rock star. So I'm very excited for that. I hope you guys all tune in for that. But I really think that Mighty Networks is the tool that optimizes for the people who are mastering something interesting, important together, right? So it's like better than a Facebook group. It's better than a Discord. It really, I mean, this is why it was created, which is why I'm so excited to be using it, but then also to talk about it, because I really think that if you dig this, you know, if you're making one of these two types of communities, not the shared experience one, but the mastering something important or interesting, I think that Mighty Networks is like the best solution. And I've been looking, you know, for a very long time, I've explored all different kinds of options. But I really think that this one is going to be key. So if you want to see us build that in real time, go check out my vlog channel, HeatherJustCreate. So, you know, stick around here. I'll update you every step of the way, and then stay tuned for the audio only series of this podcast, because I'm sure it's not going to be an easy path. But with that said, let me check in with the comments. Let's see. I think the choice of monetization is a whole topic on its own. And it is something, I agree, it is something that I will continue to explore on this show, because my passion is for people to have their passion be their career. Like, maybe not everyone has to quit their full-time job, or, you know, I'm not saying that every habit has to now be monetized for it to be valid, or like, you know, whatever new pursuit that you want to explore. But the fact that it can be is just the thing that like I want to advocate for, right? And I think that exploring different ways of monetization in this content creation space, like, there's so much mystery around it, which is why I want to talk about it, because it's like, how do we even approach this? And since we're all doing very different things, it's like there isn't like a one size fits all, you know? And Tom is here saying we should all project our enthusiasm. Yes. Let's see. Roxanne, you do have a community because you intentionally care and nurture it, and because you're aligned with your purpose, you attract people with matching vibrations. Okay, there you go. So Roxanne is like, she is the expert, I would say, in people being aligned with their purpose. This is her thing. This is what her YouTube channel is about. And you heard it here first. You intentionally care and nurture it. You're aligned with your purpose, and you attract people with matching vibrations. Like, I think that's true for anyone who's trying to build a community where the community is the value. And I can't explain to you how groundbreaking that is for me, because I always thought that the community was an afterthought, right? Like, even on the YouTube channel, it's like, okay, I have to create videos, right? Like, I need to have the content, and then the community is just kind of an afterthought. It's like, oh, did you enjoy this video? Cool, you can hang out here. You know, or I have an online course. Did you enjoy that? Okay, you guys can, you know, talk about it in this Facebook group that I never check. It wasn't until Friday where I was like, oh, I think I'm thinking about this backwards. Like, the community should be first. Like, it should be the forefront. And I'll tell you why. The reason why I thought about it backwards is because I've never seen anyone do it this way. You know, I haven't seen anyone do it this way, and that's why I want to share my own case study. That's why this is why I'm declaring to the world and to myself that for the next 6 months, my plan is to throw everyone else's plan out the window. And I'm going to optimize for community, right? Like, I'm going to just lean into, I want this to be the best experience for everyone who is a part of it. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but that's exciting, right? Like, that should be the exciting part. And I think I just spent so much time trying to systemize and like, I don't know. I just tried like, okay, what's the monetization model and blah, 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 blah. And now I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to trust the process, trust the gut, TGG, right? And lean into this. So stay tuned. It'll be interesting. And of course, I'm going to continue inviting guests on this podcast because I don't know everything and I need to learn from other people. So there you go. El Jefe's here checking in. What's up? Let's see. I've had a look at Mighty That Works. It looks solid. I really like it too. Great. Roxanne, I like Simon Sinek's perspective on leadership. Leadership is a choice, not a rank. That is a great way to put it. It's choosing to look out for the person on your left and to look out for the person on your right. There you go. So if you have ever had the thought of, I'm not good enough to be making a YouTube channel about whatever, here it is. Look at it this way. It's not about good enough. You're already good enough just being who you are. Okay? Like, you do not have to hit a finish line in order for you to be good enough. The fact that you want to make a YouTube channel, you're already at the finish line. Like, you've crossed the finish line by declaring to yourself that I want to make a YouTube channel. Now you're just in the fun zone, right? Like, this is the fun part. You put in all the work to make the decision to start a YouTube channel and build a YouTube community. Cool. Now have fun with it, right? You already won, so just have fun. And everyone here is equal. Like, everyone already crossed the finish line. It's just like, how can you show that you care? If you care so much about whatever it is that you're making a YouTube channel about, then show it, right? Show it. Cool. Doc is here. What's up? Hello. I'm thinking about good vibration. Awesome. Let's see. I've tried putting technology first. I've tried putting course first. I've tried putting marketing first. It starts with one-to-one conversations and community. I'm all in. I have so much to learn here. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up, Mihal, because for next week's episode, I'm kind of annoyed at this, but I have jury duty next week. And if you are not in the US, basically, like, when you get called for jury duty, you just have to, like, you don't know if you're actually going to have to do anything. So you just have to kind of be on call every day for the week until they say you can go home. So, like, I don't know whether I'm going to be physically at home to be able to have the episode. My goal, okay, if I can do it next week, great. It might just be later. Maybe I'll just have to do it when, if I don't get back till later, then it'll be later. But here's what I want to do. I want to talk to you guys watching, because I think that community feedback, because we've had the call-in show, great. Well, that was on the YouTube Huddle Up. And I want to approach this from two sides, right? First of all, what is it like to be a part of a community in this way that I'm talking about, right? So not just like, I'm a fan, I'm an audience member, I'm a subscriber. No. You're part of a community. What is that like? What do you get out of this? What does it mean for you? How does it play a part in your life? Why do you continue to be a part of this? Because even though this is about my community, this is applicable to any community, right? Like whatever people are getting out of this is something that you could totally replicate around your YouTube channel and your thing. So that's what I want to do. And then also the other half of that is, I think to really create a community, a thriving community, it is about getting feedback, especially if you're starting from zero, right? So I think a lot of people who are eventually going to listen to this, who want to, make a living off of YouTube and all of that, you might not have a community yet, right? You might not have your tribe of 100. You might not have, like, if you go live, there's not that many people who are tuning in, and I totally get that. One way to approach how to build out your own community is by talking to people, even if that's just one person, right? So who would be, if you don't have an existing community? Now for me, the way that I did it was I just built it, and it just took time, right? I made myself available every Friday, and I just kept going. One person showed up, two people show up, and now it is what it is, right? So you can do it that way. Another way I feel like to accelerate that process is to actually interview your ideal member, right? So if you are like, hey, this person would be awesome for what we're trying to do here, talk to them, get the feedback. But I know that's not easy. And so that's why I wanted to show myself doing that, so that you could be like, okay, here are the questions that Heather's asking. Here's how I can approach someone, whether it's by sending a DM, reaching out by email, and here's the feedback that she's getting from her community, so that you have an expectation of the feedback that you can get from when you do your interviews, and then you can take that feedback and actually implement it to your channel and to how you build out your community. Does that make sense? That's what I want to do next week. I just don't know if I can, because I have no idea if I'm going to be available. All right, HR. I optimized for community first, but that's because I needed friends, because my old friends were boring me. Yes. Oh, that's funny. Aaron, what's up? Continuous Conversation is here. It's so good to see you. Megan. I definitely think that community is what makes this more successful. It also makes it more fun because you have a group of people you can talk to. So exactly, right? So you guys, I don't even know how to explain this. I think that if you go into YouTube just wanting volume, and I don't think that any of you who are listening to this are taking that approach, because that's why you're listening to this. But if you go into it just purely for numbers, I really think that it's impossible. I don't see how you could also maintain the community. There are people who have done it, but it's hard to do this, right? Like, it's hard to foster, you have a group of people that you can talk to, when it is so unmanageably large. And I think that is worth talking about, right? So if you want to be gold plaque, right? Gold play button. I don't even know how to. I can't wrap my head around 1 million people. So I have no idea how this would play out there. But if we are talking about the Air Fryer Emporium, right? Like, we are the Air Fryer Emporium. It's not about the numbers. It's about creating an experience where everyone who comes into the Air Fryer Emporium is just as enthusiastic about air fryers as you are, right? So everything from like the way that you theme your store, to like what you say when they come in, to like the little, your business cards, and like, that's where you can really have fun and be creative and lean into that, right? Does that make sense? Anyway, our past broadcasts on Facebook. Yes, they are, Carol. You could totally watch all of that on Facebook. Melanie is here checking in. Tech for your needs. Hello. Fun fact, there is no finish line. Yep. When you have the bug, the finish line will keep moving, and so will you. There you go. The lighting looks killer, by the way. I got a bit distracted by looking at every single detail. Nice job, Heather and Tom. Thank you. Still, people want to know that you care for them genuinely and authentically. With that, community is the space where people with like minds can come together and grow. Exactly. And I'm so glad that this is resonating, because it's one thing for me to talk about it, but it's hard in a space where, you know, when the platform that you're using is defining success differently, I think it's always going to be hard. Well, for me, it is. So it's awesome that you guys see this, because you're proving it. Like, you're proving the thesis of there is value in depth versus volume. Totally is. There you go. Honestly, it all starts with you. Don't get mad about why you're not succeeding in life. Yeah, there you go. That's truth. Tell the you think all criminals or all cops should be tarred and feathered and they will send you home. Kathy, I've only been called 3 times in my 56 years, but I will welcome jury duty because there was a time in this country people that look like me didn't get the opportunity. Just saying. Okay, let me tell you. I will never complain about jury duty because I'm fascinated by the entire system. There is a part of me, I'm going to knock on wood because I'm a little nervous, but there is a part of me that would love to eventually be on a trial just because I want to see how it works. But yeah, anyway. Community to me is a place safe, true, and growth with heart that everyone can bring something to the table. With that, you don't have to be perfect or the actual expert. Everyone brings something. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I think that's important to talk about in the world of YouTube. So, like I said, I'm still, if you know anybody, here we go. If you know anybody who has been able to monetize off of this type of community, because it feels like, I'm not gonna lie, it feels super self-serving that I'm like, okay, you guys are my community. Also, I'm talking about money. I don't want you to think that it just feels, I feel like there's writing on the wall that eventually I'm going to come to collect from you guys. I hope you guys know that that's not the case, right? That's why I said I really think that other monetization opportunities will come. And I think that, obviously, depending on what you talk about on your channel, I have clients that pay, that, like I said, pay the $1,000 to support the rest of the thing because they do want to take that extra step. They do feel like I'm the one who can take them there. Several of you are my clients, so you guys get it. But I'm curious to see other examples of this. That's what I would love to. And the reason why I'm asking you is because I have yet to see it. Otherwise, I would have invited them to be on the podcast. I've seen online course models. I've seen coaching. I've seen e-commerce. But in terms of a YouTube community monetizing with the passion economy business model and having the community be the value that they are offering, I would love to see another case study of that. So if you know anybody, please let me know so I can bring them on the show. Because I totally get that building a community, this type of community where it's shared experience or shared mastering something interesting or important together. I get that this is not for everybody. It takes a certain there's nothing wrong with being in the room of 100 people and not wanting to stand up. That doesn't make you inferior. It's not for everybody, right? For me, this is what I've always done. When I look back at my life, I've always been the one who has, I've physically been in the situations where people have come together in the room. And I've been the one that says, okay, guys, here's how we're going to do this. And here's what we're going to do. And so, like I said, I'm excited that if you are a person like me, here's how we can do it. And I want to show other examples of that, but don't think that that's the only way to do it. If you want to do, the more common ways, like offering an online course or something like that, or something else. I think that's the tricky part of the passion economy business model. Is like, so often you're not going to know what you're selling. It kind of just appears. And if you have read the Passion Economy book or listened to the Passion Economy podcast by Adam Davidson, every single case study that he talks about is like, it's not something that the person foresaw. It was just like circumstances, and one thing led to another, and then all of a sudden there's a very thriving business off of a very specific niche need thing, right? Okay, cool. Obs, what's up? Let's see. Interview your members, then you get robbed to come ruin your stream. Coffee Talking Tech. Hi guys, just got home from work. Awesome, great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Sean is here. What's up? Invest with Fire. On my phone watching. I think that when you have a community that is solid and the community grows, I think that when you have a community, I don't know what the second point of that. Content creation mental health is very, don't let the numbers dictate your outcome. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. When you surround yourself with good people, good things happen. See, I think that's what it comes down to. But the problem, right? The thing with this community, anyone who's a part of the YouTube Huddle Up community will say it is different from a Discord server, I think, because Discord is like where people go to hang out, which is valuable. That's great. But there's something really cool about seeing the ShareSpark scoreboard and being like, wow, look what we're all doing, right? And it's not just a Facebook community that's kind of like you check it whenever, right? Like there's homework, there's accountability, there's support, there's people who care, not just about me, but about you, about each other. That's valuable. That's what I want to spend the next month really leaning into. That. And if I could play a part in making more of these communities become like come to existence, like I would be so, that's what I want to do, right? So if you are interested, thank you for tuning in. Let's see. It seems like many YouTubers are starting to use Discord to help build their community. Can you speak to how that works? Yes. So Discord is literally a platform for people to hang out. And I think that that is a wonderful thing. I think that, honestly, if I were to pick, I think I might have gone, I think Discord is kind of like, there's so many things I hate about Facebook. So I would never build a community there. I've tried and it just sucks. With Discord, I really like it because it is kind of optimized for people to get to know each other, to hang out, to make memories together. You know, like you're bringing people together around a shared thing. The reason why I'm going with Mighty Networks, though, is because my specific community is like the other type. I think that if you are doing the shared experience thing, go to Discord. If you are bringing people together to master something interesting or important, I think go with Mighty Networks. Because their whole platform is like, here are topics, here are discussions, here are events that are happening, here, you know what I mean? Like it's all like very goal oriented, because we all, not only does every member have somewhere that they want to eventually progress to, but the group also as a whole. So that's the difference, because Discord doesn't have that aspect of it. And it's not, you know, like if you're just having fun and hanging out and trying to foster the bonds that people have with each other, that Discord right there. Like there's definitely a sense of pride for being in a Discord server. I've even seen it on a very small scale with the Discord server that Tom and I have that we rarely, admittedly, don't check very often. But like everyone was very excited to be in there, you know, and there was always like, oh, you know, a special moment whenever we jumped in. It was like, oh my gosh, how cool. And, you know, so Discord, great. Long story to answer your question. Heather, we all have goals. And if it's for income at some point, it doesn't make you turn dirty. This is very true. Drop Squad is that. Come kick it with us. The door is always open. I will check it out. Joshua, what kind of community monetization examples are you looking for again? I am looking for someone who has built one of these two types of communities. So either a community based around shared experience or a community where people are mastering something interesting or important together, who is doing that as a business. And has built that around a YouTube channel, because that's what this podcast is about, right? Like, the passion economy business model is that you can make a living doing what you love by building a community on YouTube. I need more examples of that. I know it's possible, and there's data to prove that, but I want to talk to people who've actually done that. Now, speaking of future guests, on July 20th, so not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, I am going to have an awesome passion economy business model example on the show. Her name is Marie Poulin. I'm so excited to be able to talk to her. She has had a YouTube channel for a while, but it really took off during 2020. And her whole channel is about an app called Notion. I use Notion for everything, really. And I think a lot of us here either use Notion or have heard of it. It's just an amazing management tool to help you organize your life. And Marie has a whole channel built on that. Now, that's what her YouTube channel is about, right? Helping you use Notion to I think a lot of the people in her community are business owners, but, you know, to be more productive, to be more effective with your work and your goals and all that. That's her YouTube channel. And she has been able to monetize. I think she offers an online course. She also has a community that you can be a part of. And I'm sure she does like consulting or something like that. So that to me is like, you know, traditional because this is all relatively new, but that's like the common example that I think of when I started this podcast, Passion Economy Business Model. She's offering premium services and products around a very specific, like, it's not just productivity, it's not just like entrepreneurship, it's not just like even female entrepreneurship. It is Notion, like a very specific product. And of course, now she can branch out, and I'm sure she does talk about other things that are related to that. But she built, like, Notion was a tool that didn't exist. She has a whole business around that now. That is a pure example of passion economy. So I'm excited to have her on. Stay tuned. Join us. Bring your questions. July 20th. But for future guests, I'm looking for someone who's like, the thing that they offer isn't necessarily a product. The thing that they offer isn't necessarily like an online course, but it's like literally membership to a community. I'm curious about that. I feel like that's what I'm building, but it's not built yet. So there you go. Let's see. When you don't put a title to something, you give it the room to become anything. Boom. Oh, I pushed the air horn and the sound effects slider was down. Let's see. I guess when you read that, it will make sense. I mean, the Drop Squad community is just about the community, and you're invited. Tom came 2 weeks ago. Got it. Let's see. I don't blame anyone hating Facebook for community building. They've earned it. I just have to figure out the best way of moving the millions of Disney fans on Facebook to something else. Rob, I feel like you're the exception to the rule. Yeah. I wouldn't say this to anyone else, I don't think, but for you, I honestly think like it would be okay to stay on Facebook. Unless you want to create something new. I'd also rather have Discord than Facebook. There you go. Tech Free Needs, why I gravitated towards you because you are leading by example and always bring value and willing to help others. That speaks volumes of you. Grateful that I stumbled upon you. Wow. Thank you. That's really nice. So, this is what I think is one of the strengths of this channel as well. And I don't even consciously think about that, but the leading by example. I remember hearing Gary Vee, who's like, been someone I have admired since day one of my journey as an entrepreneur. But there was one day where both him and Casey Neistat, my other hero, they both said it in the same day. I think the videos came out at different times, but that was like the day where I just happened to stumble upon 2 pieces of content from both of them that said, if you really want to do this, stop watching me and go do it. Right? Like, do what I do, don't do what I'm saying, kind of thing. And that's when I just, like, I stopped, I turned everything off and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I've seen enough to know how it's done. Now I need to go do it for me. Right? And I think that having channels where they talk about the advice and the tips and all of that is so helpful. But also, I think seeing a case study in real time is just super. It's what I would want, right? It's what I would want. That's why I'm creating it. There you go. I'm just getting started with Notion. I need a structure to restructure my time and plot out my schedule better. Yes, Marie Poulin, Coffee Talking Tech, definitely. She's the go-to. I think if you typed in Notion into YouTube, she'd be the first to pop up. I've been trying Trello, but not using it that much. Honestly, I always go back to the basic mechanical pencil and paper. Yeah, Notion is the only tool where I have just stuck with it. I always try a project management, task management, to-do list kind of app, and I always end up falling off. Notion is the only one where I haven't fallen off. I think Rob's target audience are all staunch Facebook users and will probably have a rough time moving anywhere else. Yes, totally agree. All right, guys. So thank you for exploring this, thank you for helping me redefine community. And if you're part of the YouTube Huddle Up community, I really have to thank you, because I wouldn't have come to any of these, like, I don't know, revelations and thoughts if not for seeing, for not having personally experienced it. This is why I'm doing this, is because you guys are making that happen. And I think that it is such a special thing that we have built together. I'm excited to see it grow, but also, if you are not part of the YouTube Huddle Up community, go take a peek. And I swear, like, if you want to go build this for your own thing, I would love to see more of these types of communities exist. I think they make the world a better place. I think they help people find meaning. I think they foster passion in people. What's incredible about the YouTube Huddle Up community is how freaking diverse it is. It is insanely diverse. Like, I don't even think that I can describe, like, commonalities, because it's like all ages, all backgrounds, all everything. It's just so incredibly diverse, which is very exciting to me. And I think that's also what is new about the passion economy and this idea of community, because I mean, any business owner, any business advice would tell you, okay, what do your people have in common, right? And it's like demographics, it's like where they're located, it's, we could even, I know you could say, okay, everyone in the YouTube Huddle Up community is working on a YouTube channel. But I think, especially after last year, we are seeing that people have way more in common. Even if it's someone who's like 14 or 47, there's still a way that these two people who would never otherwise cross paths are able to cross paths, meet each other, but then also work on something together. Like, where else are you going to have the opportunity to do that? And I think that is so incredibly special and awesome. And I think that is something many of us can create. So with that said, stay tuned for the community that Tom and I are building. If you want to see us build it in real time, we are coming out with a new series on my vlog channel, HeatherJustCreate, so stay tuned for that. Go check out the audio episode that I just dropped this morning if you want to hear about how I'm pivoting my entire business for the next 6 months. So go check that out on the From 1 to 100 audio podcast. And then Marie Poulin is going to be our guest July 20th. Gina Bianchini, the CEO of Mighty Networks, is going to be our guest on July 27th. And then if you know anyone who has been able to monetize this type of community, please let me know and connect me so that I can reach out and invite them to the show. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Follow me on social media for updates about next Tuesday. I think regardless, it's going to happen, right? So if you are a member of the YouTube Huddle Up community, I'll talk about this on Friday as well. I would love to get you on the show. I'm going to interview you, and the whole thing is like, okay, obviously I'm gathering data about how to make this community better, but then also if you are working to build your own community, you can see how I do these types of like interviews, gathering feedback, so you can go ask your people for feedback and then build up your community. Cool? But I don't know what time it's going to be. I can't promise you it's going to be at 1 o'clock because I have jury duty. So I'll keep you updated. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Super exciting to hang out with you all. And I'll catch you guys next time. Take care. Bye, everyone. How do I end the show? Bye.